Hiya, folks. Well, like I said the other day, I wanted to have a little chat about farming and what's going on, sort of thing, in Europe, and not just Europe. Sri Lanka, that's quite an interesting case. But the Dutch government are trying to shut around, well, over 11,000 farms in Holland, and another 17,000 plus. I've made some notes just so that I get it right. I've got to 17,000 plus have got to scale down and reduce their farming. Now, all for apparently for less nitrogen emissions. Now, yeah, I'm all like green and love the environment, and we need to keep the environment as safe as we possibly can, right? But Holland produces more food than any other country in Europe, and exports more food than any other country in Europe. Now, if they close them farms down for the environment, where's the food what they're not producing going to come from? They're going to import it, aren't they, from other countries which are far, far away. The Dutch are some of the most innovative farmers around. They use glass houses, they use modern techniques to produce vegetables. At the very least, they've got some serious, good ideas. Now, by closing all them farms down, it's not helping anybody, is it? Unless there's an ulterior motive. You know what I mean? Maybe they need to put 15-minute cities in this farmland. I don't know. Build more houses that produce less food. What could go wrong? On the other side of it as well, look at the war in Ukraine. They are huge grain producers, and that's not happening, is it, at the moment? So, or it's not getting out, apparently. So we're told. Don't believe everything you hear on the news. I don't know. But if everybody's producing less food, yet there's more and more people, you know, what's happening with the balance in food production and people? Do governments prefer people to starve? I don't know. It seems that way now. The UK are paying farmers to stop farming, basically. All the farmers, they're offering them money to retire. What will happen to that land? Will it be bought up by other farmers and reused farming, or will it be rewilded? Now, again, the UK, we don't produce that much food. We don't produce enough to keep, and it's far too expensive to produce because of rules, basically, and bureaucracy. Whereas we can import cheap food from another country, but that's just pushing that problem along, isn't it? Plus, if there is a problem with importing it for any reason, then we ain't going to get it. You know what I mean? Now, my grandmother grew up during the second... Well, before the... my mother grew up during the Second World War. My grandmother was born before the First World War and went through that and everything. And the reason the world thought English food was bad, because after the war we eaten practically anything. If you know what a roof rabbit is, then roof rabbit was on the menu, and many other things. Crow was on the menu. You know, proteins. We couldn't produce. We tried, and we did well. People got together and dug for England, and that's what we should be doing now. We should be encouraging farmers. We should make it easier for farmers to make produce. Sri Lanka have just gone through a really bad patch because they banned all chemical fertilisers and insecticides. It caused a 40% drop in rice production, in making poverty and starvation. You know, it didn't win any wars. It didn't help the situation in the country. I agree. Let's try and get away from chemicals. I don't use chemicals in my garden, but that's my garden. I'm not trying to feed 1,000 people, you know, or 1 million people, or 70 million people like UK, you know. So I don't know what the mission is. They call it green. It's like the energy. Now, Germany shutting down its nuclear reactors and then having to buy gas and power from Russia. Oh, that didn't work out well, did it, for all of Europe? So power blackouts are possible. Lack of energy. So you've got lack of food, lack of energy. It's like brewing a perfect storm, isn't it? You know? I once read a book, I can't remember its name to be honest, but it was a little bit about 3 days, I think it was 3 days without energy and the entire world collapses because you're not getting food, you're not getting energy, you're not getting anything, and then it's complete chaos and mayhem. The electric cars are supposed to be green, but have you seen how much it takes to actually produce an electric car? Not just the energy, but the mining of the coal, the mining of the coal to produce the electric car. I mean, it's actually a point. But the mining of the minerals to make the batteries and where it's got to come from. Because every time you fly, they go like, "Oh, don't you fly and go on holiday?" But we need to bring all this stuff in from far away on a ship that's run from diesel, which takes a lot of diesel, you know. Just to bring the materials, not the diesel to dig it up, not the coal or other things they have to use to actually turn the ore into a usable material, you know, to actually smelt it or however they actually do the process takes energy too. And now they're saying if you have a minor accident in an electric car, then they're probably going to scrap it because they can't allow people who are not qualified from the company that made the car to actually fix it. They might know trade secrets. I know that's not on the same level of the farming, but it's all about the same sort of thing. We're being sold this green utopia, which could turn into an absolute hell. I'd be interested in anything you've got to say in the comments below. What I also didn't mention was the introduction of GMO foods. Now, we don't know what effect they're going to have, and some countries are using them, and I personally would keep away from them. And when you start patenting seeds and stuff like that, then the prices make it impossible for people to buy. Small farmers, say, even you and me. And you don't know what's in, what effect, what's the long-term effect. We've seen these sort of things before. We know we don't know the long-term effects of certain things we've had in just recently. And things coming out about that which are rather scary, aren't they? So, if you can, save your own seeds, get heirlooms, and grow as much food as you can. I'll leave it at that. Nice to be nice.